Hello, and welcome to the Human Being 101 podcast. I'm Kathleen Schafer, and this is Conversations with Kathleen, where we discuss how to live the mission of the Human Being Store: better people, better work, better world. At HBeS, our work is based on a new way of leading in our careers and our lives, and this podcast focuses on how to do this through the lens of current events. This week, we're going to be talking about the theme of love and how we can take a look at our leadership and the leadership of others through the lens of love. Given the fact that I am recording this on Valentine's Day, I thought this was an apropos subject, in that for the past 15-20 years that I have been working with leadership, I have put out a different definition. A lot of people look at leadership as the person who's in charge, or the person who's at the front of the room speaking to others. And I suggest, or would like to put out, that leadership for me is really about love in action. So let's think about that and break it down just a bit before we talk about it in the context of current events. Love, which is a word that carries with it a lot of meaning, and from this perspective, I'm talking about the love of who we are, the love of the gift of who we are. At the Human Being Store, we talk a lot about people understanding their gift. That's why you come to the Human Being Store, is to get your gift and to know how to put it out in the world. Well, said another way, that's leadership as love in action. It's that love of the uniqueness of who you are, and what the honoring and the valuing of what it is that you uniquely have to offer the world can do when you put it out and offer it in ways that are of service to others. And when we think about leadership through this lens, we not only make leadership accessible to all of us, because indeed we all are leading our lives, and we begin to orient what it is we are doing day to day in our organizations, in our communities, in our society, toward the betterment of all through the expression of the best of who we are. And that's really what I want us to take a look at, as we continue to see all of the ways in which our societal systems are being challenged. In particular, there were many events this week that speak to the breakdown of the rule of law, to our democracy, and again, without putting a partisan lens on it, but just backing up to take a look at what's happening. Are those who are in positions of authority acting from a place of fear and control, or are they acting from a place of love? And when we begin to put this frame on what is happening, and in terms of how we begin to define leadership, we quickly see that, number one, we're not seeing a lot of leadership by people in positions of authority in our society currently. And this to me is where the hope and the future lies, is we all have the power to lead. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that. Personally, one of the things that I see, or for individuals, in reorienting themselves to this idea of leadership, is the fact that most people don't value who they are and what it is that they uniquely have to offer the world. That there is some part of them that doesn't feel that who they are is whole and good enough to be able to put it out freely into the world, and to feel like they will be met and that they will be able to be successful putting that out. Again, one of the things that we do here at the Human Being Store is walk people through a very powerful process that allows people to see themselves in this powerful new way, because it is the only way forward. We have such an opportunity right now because our society is calling for more of us to be turned on and to be happy and to be fulfilled in the contribution that we're making, because there are so many challenges, because there are so many things that are on the path in front of us, that as we learn to orient to the power that we have to create what we want into the world and to be able to use the best of who we are to serve others, to serve our organizations, to serve our communities, we begin to clear the path not only for ourselves but for other people as well. And that's the power here. Is it's all taking us in a positive direction. Again, the suggestion is everyone has the capacity to lead. Everyone is a leader, and that the way that you access that leadership and that power is by knowing and understanding the best of who you are and what you have to offer. And so when you now take this, okay, I now have a better understanding of who I am, of my gift, of my talents, my strengths, my skills, and I'm able to carry that more fully aware into the organizations in which I operate. Not only are you going to be more fully engaged, more vibrant, more dynamic, the thing that happens, and we see this all the time in working with our clients, you then also begin to inspire and call other people forward as well. You know, we are a society that looks around all too often at what others are doing as the way to orient and reflect on how we are all doing. And, you know, again, at the Human Being Store, we work with people to focus on how do you reverse that? How do you anchor into the best of yourself and then go out and offer it into the world? And given the fact that, again, so much of the world does it in reverse, this is a powerful way to begin to help change things. Is the more that you inspire people through your action, your love and action, your leadership, it gives them the opportunity and the awareness to think that perhaps they can do the same. And ultimately, isn't that what we all want? To be a part of organizations and groups in which people are alive and turned on and at their best and excited and eager to be there every day? One of the things that we hear all the time from people is that it is challenging to go into offices and workplaces where people are unhappy, and, you know, rightfully so. So again, all of the external circumstances that cause us stress can begin to be addressed by coming back to this definition of leadership, of love in action, our love for ourselves, our love for our talents, our strengths, our skills, our gift, and being able to action it. People want to make things happen. And this definition of leadership unleashes that. So the way forward here requires nothing other than for you to get to know yourself and to value who you are. As you take that out into your organizations and workplaces, you begin to not only create change from you offering your best, you also then inspire others to shift their perspective and their understanding of leadership. So where is this all taking us? Well, of course, every day I hear people talking about the amount of stress they are feeling because of what is taking place in our democracy, in our society, in the public discourse, that things feel so challenging and out of control. What can any one person do about what's happening in Washington or with our environment or our health systems or our school systems or any of these things? And when you understand that you have the power to shift your perspective, and through that shift in your perspective, it allows you to go out and engage with others in a different way, and that engagement from a different place begins to inspire them, that's how we're going to create change. So when people ask me, well, what do I think is going to happen politically or in our democracy, and how to get us past this being on one team or the other, or this very tribal or polarized thinking, I ask people to begin to consider that when they are listening to someone, when they are observing what is happening, to simply ask a question. Is this person operating out of fear, or is this person operating out of love? Are they intent on power, or are they focused on service? And regardless of who we are listening to on one side of the fence or the other, if we're able to just ask that question and observe, is this person operating from this definition of love in action, or are they wanting and moving us in a direction that is the opposite of that? And if we can simply observe what is happening, and I will suggest to you it's happening on both sides of the fence, if we can really start to observe that, we're going to begin to have different discussions and dialogues about what's going on in this country. And we will begin through this idea of leadership being love in action, of the idea of how can we use the best of who we are in service to others. We're going to have different conversations. And they are going to be conversations around coming together, around creating solutions and actioning them. And they will stop being about debates over winning and losing and right and wrong. And the only way that we're going to get to solution about anything, the only way we're going to be able to move forward in the ways that we all desire, is by those of us who are aware and are willing to adapt to a new way of thinking about leadership, that we actually start actioning it in our lives. The world is changing. It is not necessarily changing in the ways that we all want with some of the people who are in positions of power. And so my call to action for each of you this week is to ask you to begin observing wherever you are. Is the person coming from a place of fear? Or are they coming from a place of love? Are they coming from a place of wanting power, or are they desiring to serve? And through that you root in and make a commitment to being at your best, to knowing who you are, and to putting your love in action, your leadership into the world, because that's how the world is going to change. I remain quite optimistic that there are more of us who truly desire to see and experience the world differently that are going to be driving change, rather than those who are trying to drag us down to the bottom. So this week, use that observation to help you see that there is a choice, conscious choice, an important part of leadership. And I encourage you to do the exploration and to make the choice to put your love in action, your leadership into the world. And of course, at the Human Being Store, we are here to support you in that process, should that be something that you choose to do. I'm Kathleen Schafer, and I'm delighted that you joined me this week.